what you're saying about having a thought and something happens almost instantaneously is actually a good stepping stone for what I had been inspired to share with you today, to bring you through a bit of engagement, of course, knowing me, in regards to some of the ways that you can have thoughts, have words, have statements, have suggestions, have directions for people in the class, and have that be in the moment, fresh, connecting, and allows the people like myself who are listening to really go on a journey beyond the script, beyond what you thought you need to share. Do you hear where I'm going with this? So what do you suppose I'm thinking? Using your power of imagination and intuition, what do you suppose where I'm heading with this conversation?
So going beyond the script, reading the room, kind of working out what people need.
Yes, that's right. That's good for active listening. That's right. When I was in the last class with you, and you were guiding us at the beginning through it was like a 12-minute guided meditation, and it was one about finances, or it didn't really matter what it was about. It was hard for me to follow, partly because your voice was very relaxing. It was really beautiful to listen to. And if it were a meditation tape for me to kind of sink in and drift off and not really be attentive, I think it would have served that purpose. But because I wanted to also engage with what you were listening, I thought that perhaps I can ask you to do it with me here today, as though I'm listening, I am, and to provide responses, interaction, even if nobody's responding, if they're just in a quiet or turned off the video and you don't know what's going on, staying if you're listening, I have a feeling, very strong feeling, that your information will go down deeper with more highs and lows, with the intonation in the voice, with more participatory questions such as, get that? Oh, good. Almost as though you're having a conversation or a dialogue with people who are not responding at all. It will help people's listening, including mine, be more acutely focused on what you're saying. Am I making sense?
I think so.
What are you grasping from what I'm saying? What makes sense?
So what you're saying is, even in a recording, you couldn't ask rhetorical questions, or even not so rhetorical, but ask questions to check if someone's following, even though you wouldn't ever get the answer, because there's
participatory questions like, you're following what I'm doing. It's also responding as though people are answering, like as though you're watching, as though you're listening, as though you're feeling what people are doing. Things like, so basically what would be great, do you have that as a script? Do you have it that you could read it with me? Because I'd like to turn it inside out and have it come out to be something so much more compelling. If we could do that together, that was my thinking for today.
Sure, I have got it. Yeah. Because the thing that there was one thing that I wanted to you to help me with, and I'm not sure how to tackle it, but it's just really freaking bothering me at the moment.
Maybe we should focus on that first, because it's bothering you, and my agenda is always going to be there, and we can do that when we're finished with this or for our next session. It doesn't matter. I don't have a focus of it having to be. It was just an inspiration, and I know you'll find it helpful when we're able to do this in an interactive way.
Yeah. Well, the thing that really is bothering me at the moment, which is really upsetting me, is that I keep using filler words all the time. And 2 weeks ago, I kept saying, so I really made a big deal not to say that. And then I didn't. And in fact, even at Toastmasters, because they count filler words, and I didn't say, but then when I don't say, I then replace it with something else. So it's like, so, and then this week I didn't hardly use, but then I said so a lot, and I said oh, she's very interesting. This is very interesting. I kept saying it over and over. It was just fucking me off. Excuse the French.
Right. I notice you do say filler words from time to time. Another one that I hear you use in our sessions is, and it's kind of nice to hear 1 or 2 times, but 5 or 6 times in a session, I feel like you could say other words that would have more meaning that's underneath the words. And one of the words that you use, which I'm sure you use a lot, it's not a problem that you use it, but 4, 5, 6 times in a session too much, is cool. You do that. And it's a great way to use fun to people. I like it. Once 6 times, it's like, oh, there's a lot of ways you can say that. So
Yeah,
let's do this. Let's find different ways of saying the same thing with what you start off as filler words. And in this conversation with me, I'm going to ask you to use a filler word and then to do the same thing again, and then add a different word. And every time you then start to say a filler word, then use the different words. So
I know, but that's the problem lies is that I don't know I'm doing it.
Well, you do. You don't, and you do.
I
You
think
do know.
well, I don't. I literally don't. Like, it's only
Okay.
when I look at it back that I think, oh my God, I just keep saying this filler word as that it was, but I've clocked onto it now. So
Watch what we're going to do.
Raised it.
We're going to shift this down.
Literally don't know I'm doing it. So it's like it's whether it's I don't even feel nervous, but if it's a nervous thing, or do I need to, I just said it, but do I need to slow down? Is that the secret?
We'll do it right now.
I need to literally think consciously of every single word, like dripping drops of water, consciously placing every single word? Is that what I need to do? I'm just trying to understand how to overcome. It's like a tick almost, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's a repetitive pattern. So what we're going to do is start off with the conversation of simply dialoguing with the filler words, saying something like this. I'll start and then you do your version. I'm ready for a new relationship with you, filler words. Just something like that. Just start with that. Just because we're talking about it as though it's a live thing rather than something that is outside of yourself. I'm ready for a new relationship with you. Let's just start with that.
So I'm talking to the filler words.
You are.
Okay. I'm getting on those lines. Okay. You've served a purpose for me up till now.
Okay, great. And the purpose that you served for me up until now is?
You've got me through awkward moments and given me time to think.
Sure. And it's good that you repeat what I say at the beginning when I say it, so you're not just taking off after, because I think setting up the situation, the sentence is as important as like asking the right questions. I'm ready for a transformed relationship with you, filler words, just like that.
I'm ready for a transformed relationship with you, filler words.
Right. Even though you've taken me out of awkward situations.
Even though you've taken me out of awkward situations.
I'm ready to, and see what comes.
I'm ready to take off the stabilizers and walk and ride free without the necessity of them. I have enough words of my own to not require all of these crutches that I'm using to prop myself up.
That's right. And now, put your 2 hands up like this. Let's do this with 2 hands. On the one hand is you speaking, on the other hand is the filler words talking back. So we're creating a dialogue that's visible, that's visceral. And so now we can actually see a difference. Now that the filler words are going to say to you, oh, we heard what you say. We heard you say, this is active listening, just the way they speak. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, it's this hand. Okay. So,
which hand is which?
Well, I'm mirroring you, so I've done it on the left hand is the mirror. I get what you're saying. You don't need us anymore. We've served a purpose, but we're no longer required.
This gives us a deep feeling of sadness and loss because we have We have a problem here. We don't like being rejected, isolated, abandoned, and deserted.
Why
We
don't you need me? What have we done wrong?
Exactly. That's what they would think. Okay. And now you in comfort, this other hand over here says, you've done nothing wrong. I've just overused you. Starting with that.
You've done nothing wrong. You've been a great help to me and I've appreciated your assistance, but now I've moved on and I don't need you anymore.
It's not exactly true that I don't need you anymore. I'm ready for you to have a new job title, a new name. Rather than calling you filler words, I'm going to call you something different and have you connect as a bridge rather than be a wall of repetitive monotony that gets in my way, and I realize makes it difficult for people to get the depth and heights and full spectrum of what I have to share. So I'm going to give you a new job title. Filler words. From now on, I give you the job title of, let's see, starting with those words. Let's see if we start with those words. From now on.
I like you and appreciate you, but we need to give you a new job title and job description.
That's right.
They no longer are about choosing a phrase and just repeating it. I want you to use something more constructive to add to the conversation rather than just take away from it.
From now on, I give you the job title of.
From now on, I give you the job title of constructor.
Start off with that. Start off with that. There's a little question in it, so it's not quite right because you're asking rather than telling, so it didn't feel resonant. No, but it's in the right direction. So in the realm of me calling you a constructor, what I mean by that is, now describe it so that we can find the definition and the job title and the job description that's coming out of it. What I mean by constructor is,
what I mean by constructor is someone who adds to the conversation, reinforces and delights the audience with the engaging vocabulary that you have, because you have wonderful vocabulary, you're not short of words. So why restrict yourself to such a narrow band of phraseology when there are so many other choices of wonderful words that you can use?
Beautiful. So you coming alive even as you're speaking. This is great. Feel your energy picking up. It's getting a little bit more smile on the face. So of all the words you just shared, your energy seemed to pick up strongest there, Heather, when you said the words delight and engaging. So constructor is a little bit plain vanilla, boring. It's an okay word, but it doesn't have energy to it. It's like the director said, constructor, like, so what, who cares? If I was an advertising copywriter. But delight is exciting. And as soon as you went delight, your energy got lighter and it raised up. And then you said engaging just a couple of words later. So you might explore the words, call you delightful engagers, or something like this.
Chief Delight Officer.
Chief Delight Officer. I love it. CDO. You're my new CDO, my Chief Delight Officer. Okay, now we're talking. That sounds very good. Chief Delight Officer, CDO. Great. From now on, whenever I am starting to use a filler word, I instead call upon you, Chief Delight Officer, and you give me, go ahead.
So in future, every time I'm starting to utter a word which is boring and repetitive and the same kind of phraseology that I'm trying to avoid, i.e. filler words, I request and instruct you as my Chief Delight Officer to choose a delightful, engaging, beautiful, resonant, phraseology that will particularly enhance the conversation and take it to another level.
Excellent. And now the other hand, the Chief Delight Officer in Delight is now very excited to have a more interesting job title than filler word. Filler word is dull and boring and monotonous. Who wants to be called a filler word? It's like a bad name. So in delight, in appreciation and gratitude, that hand over there says, oh, as your new Chief Delight Officer, I want to say how grateful that was, starting like a new conversation. So as your new, go ahead.
Well, I'm very excited with my new job role. And as your new Chief Delight Officer, I've decided that I'm going to write an amazing job description for myself. I'm really excited. The creativity is coming out of me, and I'm just going to delight in finding the absolutely appropriate word for the situation at hand and really help you and assist you in everything that you do.
This is beautiful, and it's great we're recording this. And I will send you a copy at the end as well. I am recording this, and I'm not going to stop recording this, so you'll get a good copy. And it's really good you see this again, because this conversation is worth revisiting. Okay, my new job description that I am delighted to write, say, and think, and put into the world is, and it doesn't have to be the right one, but just start it now. Okay, I can be counted on for, and in times of stress, I come across in, and here's where I show up the most, and where I'm most valuable. If any of those cup sense, start with any of those.
So I'm very excited that my job description is Chief Delight Officer. I particularly going to help you when you're trying to describe something and explain something, because that's when you really need to get to the nitty-gritty. So I'm going to really focus my attention on assisting you and guiding you, because my words will enhance what you then say.
Beautiful. Yep. Exactly. My words enhance what you say. Okay. So that's a job description of sorts. And of course, you can flesh it out. I recommend that you type it out when you get to this part of the audio, the video, and that you have a chance later to actually type it out, and then you play with it and work with it and see what words come from it. Now, let's dive deeper. In the realm of the most overused filler words that you've been accustomed to repeating, let's go through them one at a time and find a myriad of other words and expressions that say even better. So you might go, cool, or gee, that's exciting, or oh, that's delightful. Just, and then go back to the word cool, and then, oh, yeah. And so we start to find other ways. You can still use the word, but now we're going to add branches of the tree so you don't just repeat. So it doesn't matter what word you start off with. We want you to be repetitive, boring, monotonous at first with the ones that plague you, and then we're going to extend them to something more delightful and engaging. Start with any word that plagues you the most. Oh, whenever I say,
well, I seem to say so a lot. I
okay.
start sentences with it, and
okay, so now we're going to change that. We can change that right away by saying, up to now, I've been saying so a lot, because we want to put it in the past. We don't want to keep repeating it. So it's not that I continue to say it. Up to now, my habit has been that I say so a lot. And when I say so, start saying it. See what other words are there that really are the depth of feeling that are underneath the word so. So could be something like, having said that, going deeper now, just notice what's there, and then go back to so, and just go back and forth, and create a whole new vocabulary. It's already been there, but to bring it out of your unconscious through this interaction with me. Go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. So up till now, so I even started the sentence with it. It's so annoying.
So let's start with that one. Let's start with that exact one, because you caught yourself that time. Okay. When I catch myself starting a sentence with so up to now, another way of saying that is, now say it in a different way. That's something which
Another way of starting a sentence without using so is on the back of this. Having said that,
Sure.
in conclusion, bridging the gap, the learnings that we've just got from this, underpinning all this.
Yes. That's good for starters.
Bringing it all together.
Yeah, this is perfect. So you've got now 5 or 6 or 7 that can all be an umbrella around the word so. That's so much more embellishing, and you can return to them anytime. And of course, I recommend as soon as you can after the session that you write them down, that you go back to this actual video and you go, okay, so, and then put the little extensions like you're making a mind map and around it. And you see so many more, excuse the expression, so many more.
A myriad.
A myriad.
So I'm not going to use it at all now. I'm going to like, it would just be sort of like all these sort of no-go zones.
Perfect. Okay, that's one word. Keep going. And what other words do you use? And you might put the word so down in front of you so you can add on to it later, but this is just like the
Yeah,
beginning.
no, I've been jotted down. So the other one, of course, is but I didn't use it last week. I used it once actually, but
let's do the one. Let's do the one and see where we can go with
So I use to kind of emphasize what I've just said.
Yeah.
That's the use of it. So I just kind of, it's not even anything, it's just an emphasize. It really, that is a classic filler word, I think, because I say something and maybe it's to check if they've got it, because it's like maybe a little check of understanding. So that's what it is, isn't it? Kind of is saying you know it now, maybe. I don't even know why I say it, but I'm just, is it just purely a filler word, or does it have a meaning behind it? I don't even know.
Let's use it in a sentence, and then use the same sentence and just change the word and see what's there. So pick a sentence that you generally say, and say, and then we'll do the same sentence and replace it with something else, and you'll see how much more elegant and interesting it is. Any sentence.
Compound growth is one of the wonders of the world, because it is growth on growth and helps you to ultimately become financially free,
See, it didn't really fit that time.
No, I know, and I'm doing it deliberately now. So the thing is, it's so unconscious. So
it's like someone who has a habit of, just not using food well or not using money well. When they make a note of whatever they eat or whatever they spend, this practice, then you become more conscious. So you just became conscious that, is separate from the sentence. It had nothing to do with the sentence. It was just...
No, it didn't, and it was very deliberate, because the only reason why I use it is completely unconsciously, and I only know I've done it when because I just said it. But in Toastmasters, there's someone who's counting everything,
right.
And now they used to just give it. They just used to say how many filler words you use, but now they get more granular and they tell you exactly which filler words you actually used. And sometimes in the past, every week it's a mystery. Like unless I'm the counter, and then I only know it when I'm actually telling everyone else what their words are, because I'll end up saying, when I'm telling them, and then I go, oh, I've just used it again. I'll just use it again. But other than that, it's just a mystery. I hear the answers, and I'm astounded if it's high, if it's low. I just wouldn't even know until I hear the number.
What we do now is have you exaggerate the use of it, so you get quickly tired of it by using it a lot in the next few sentences. It's just absolutely rape the sentences with ridiculous amount of the words, and then we're going to say the same sentences, or whatever sentences you say, replacing them with different expressions, just like we did with the word so.
So, it's really quite a good, it's really quite a good way of being, because, you could just go through your life without thinking, or doing life subconsciously, but ultimately, you could really live life deliberately and plan your life and think about things for the future.
Okay. So now take the same expression, or it's anything close to that expression, and whenever you're about to say the word introduce a different word, just like you did with the word so. You can, and just in practice, it's just putting a new muscle into motion. Here we go.
Living life deliberately is a wonderful thing because you can become more mindful, you can decide what you're going to do and work towards it. You can work with the end in mind, and then make a plan and then head straight towards it without looking left or right. Precisely. You can zero in on where you are going.
Now, there's something you did now that's very interesting, and I find, for me, this is also very effective, that when I use my hands to make pictures, like you said, know where you're going, very deliberate, the hands actually take over the need to use filler words, because you're making pictures of your expressions, and you don't need to explain what you're explaining, because you're showing what you're telling. And it becomes evident from people's viewing your words being spoken through your body, as well as hearing the words. So you didn't one time use the word there, but you were doing much more of this. And I found that was very helpful to keep you focused, to keep you present, to keep you in your body, because you're very body centered. It's one of your gifts. And as you allow yourself to trust that the words flow, if you slow down the words, actually, the gestures can more easily describe the directions that your words are heading. Slowing down of the words gives you a chance to be more graphic in your visual gestures, and to be more practiced and deliberate without having to use repetitive expressions. So we're developing new ways of communicating that includes more visual and less repetitive verbal. So this is interesting. And this is interesting.
And I noticed that I was very much more deliberate in the way that I would think it was a bit too emphatic, but I was sort of placing the words very deliberately. It was like,
I liked it. I liked it.
Bullets.
I really liked it. Because you were more emphatic than I've seen you, and you were less explanatory. Because so often you speak about something, you go on and on and on, and it's not as clear as boom. That's clear. But what more you need to say? You'll need to say less when you speak with greater punctuation and clearer beginnings and endings of syllables, gestures, movements, and sounds. You don't have to explain yourself. It's like when you're getting into health foods. When I was first getting into health foods, I was 20, I moved to San Francisco, and I had so much of the things that I liked that I knocked myself out, and I had all kinds of foods. And then after a while, I realized there's only a few things I need to eat at one time, and I feel more satisfied. So we begin to choose the words, the sounds, the gestures that are needed, and the filler ones, I'm just saying filler words, filler sounds, filler gestures, everything becomes more coordinated and focused. So it's really good that you're being more deliberate. Yeah.
And I suppose in the beginning, like any habit, I guess you're very deliberate. If I was given up smoking or any vice, what people have, you'd have to do it very deliberately. But then I suppose as the habit wears in, I do yoga now. I've been doing it every day for 8 weeks, and you have to be very deliberate. But in the end, you just wake up and do it straight away. It's not even something that you think about. So I suppose it's just having to do it very precisely to start with, and then I suppose the habit of precision takes over.
Exactly, with the words, with your expressions as well. What are other ways of saying the words Because there's more in the expression. You did it with so, let's do it with Let's just say and then pick a different word, and maybe, as I was saying, or
do you get, are you understanding what I'm saying? Is that clear? You see?
Yes.
See. See, you can you see that? I really want you to I really want you to understand this. I really want you to get this. This is really key. This is really important. This is something that you need to bear in mind.
This is powerful because I haven't heard you speak like this. And it's like, in a way, it shows the teacher, the master, the knower, the guide, the mentor, who's willing to stand up and be seen in your strength rather than being fuzzy wuzzy or explanatory or not quite as much comfortable with being in your power. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm sensing. So it's stepping into power.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think it's almost hiding away a little bit, hiding behind a repetitive phrase. It's not in my power.
No, that's right.
That's right.
Okay, so now start using more sentences that include whether you're saying so before and and we're going to go to see if there are any more expressions, and we're going to keep doing this, dissecting, adding other ones. So you're developing a whole new, the word benevolence comes in my mind, benevolence of expression that is empowering, nurturing, inspiring, rather than boring, repetitive, monotonous. Keep going. So, what else do you say? I know you said you were cool, but that's just my remembering. That's, I mean,
yeah. Well, I was going to say, I was going to say something else, but I just said, yeah. I just started the sentence with yeah. So maybe that's one.
Yeah, you can do that once in a while, but now let's overuse it for a bit. Let's make it ridiculous. Let's make it into a Monty Python little skit for a minute or two where everything is, yeah, money is really important. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. Let's just play with it and see till you get tired of it. Okay, let's go for it.
Yeah, so you need to invest, like you need to invest, because if you don't, then you don't get anywhere. You can't build, you can't grow. You have to speculate to realize a game, and you have to be in the game. Yeah, so yeah, why are you doing it? Yeah.
Okay, so now that you're getting a bit tired of it and super conscious of it by making it exaggerated, now we use other expressions. When you just start to say the word yeah, or even if you do say the word yeah, it may be something like, does this make sense to you? I understand what you mean. That's right. See what comes from you naturally. I'm just making up words out of your words, not mine.
Very tempted to start the sentence with so. I need to just think of a new way of starting sentences, or just saying what I needed to say, because I think what I'm doing is I'm giving myself an extra second to formulate the word that I want to start with. So rather than saying yeah or so, I just need to say the thing that I was about to say. Just start with just saying it.
Give me an example.
So it's so natural for me to say so. Oh, God.
Up to now.
I have to take a breath, maybe a breath.
Sure.
Investing is really key to an abundant life. Without investing, you're missing a key aspect of life. You leverage yourself. You get to be not just one of you, you get to be maybe 10 of you by using these skills like investing and using all the other types of things that you can do to earn without investing your time, you then get to extract more out of life, more juice out of life than you would otherwise have done.
Yeah, I like it when you see what you're doing with your hands. You can feel it. The juice out of life. You're actually showing what you're telling, and it replaces the need to use these filler words. It's very interesting. You're using more body language, and you're slowing you down actually, so you don't have to be searching for words as much, because you're making sense by appealing to more of the senses of the visual as well as the audible at the same time.
So I'm slowing down because I guess I'm editing what I'm saying, but that's probably not a bad thing, because it sounds more deliberate and
That's right.
confident. Yeah.
And you're more deliberate and you're more emphatic. You're more able to be in the teacher role that's giving suggestions that people can follow, rather than when you get excited, it's good to let the voice come up. And there's something really exciting I want to tell, the voice speeds up. But then the deliberate shows someone that is an authority, that you're trusting your own authority.
Mm.
We're learning a lot of things here today. It's not just about filler words, it's what's underneath it. Your ability to stand in your power, to express yourself with certainty, to be deliberate as a form not of being mechanical, yet as a way of showing pacing, trust, owning your own authority.
Mm.
What's making sense from what we're doing here so far today? What are you finding most helpful from what we're doing with dissecting the old habits and putting in basically new habits? Which habits
It's all helpful. It's all helpful. So even saying that, I can't do it without it. I rely on crutches too much, and I've got to stop right now.
I stop right now. I do stop right now. When I catch myself saying so, I laugh at myself and I find another way of saying the same sentence. That's what I would do if I were you. I would say the sentence, and if you catch yourself saying it with the word so or you know, say the same sentence again. Repetition is fine with a different word, and notice what happens. Let's practice with me. First, using the word so and you know, whenever it comes up, wherever you catch yourself, and then say the same sentence again with a different word and watch what happens.
So I'm finding that this is very useful, because
Right? Now repeat that sentence without the word so.
I'm finding this very useful.
Good.
I
And
feel
now, yes. And now add a different word than the word so. I'm finding this very useful. It's fine to not have any word. The shortness actually makes it a stronger expression with less fluff. And sometimes another word can be helpful. That's it. When the word so is spoken, it may be all kinds of things, like as I've been saying, following that thought, picking up from where we left off. These are all different ways of elegantly moving through the skid, so to speak.
As I said earlier, I really think this is being very useful. My son just come in, sorry.
I didn't know there was.
He's got it straight away. It's making me more deliberate, more emphatic, more authoritative, and slowed me down, which is no bad thing, encouraging me to use my body language to emphasize my key points.
Yes.
Being in my power.
Beautiful. And you can feel it, even watching you speak, you know, your voice, your way you're moving. There's more of a feeling of a softness, slowness, a gentleness, even with the strength. It's much more attractive to listen to. It's so interesting. So using a different context and then looking at the sentence. It's very interesting. I could crack practice with you. Excellent. You know, you're feeling more pleased with yourself as well. And seeing that. I know you're feeling it.
It's good. What's helpful is that you know and yeah both start with the yeah. So if I can feel my throat starting the yeah sound, it's quite useful because that's two filler words squashed in one fell swoop.
Yeah,
So
you know.
that's quite useful.
What's a way of saying yeah, you know? It's other words that would replace that. That's far more interesting and actually laser beam. Yeah, you know.
Did just say and
What are you thinking right now?
consequently,
Consequently.
however, which is not quite that. Following on from that.
Yep.
On building on from that.
That's right. Following that thought, having said that, said that.
Reinforcing this, as using that as a benchmark, using that as a base. I'd like to now talk about, now that I've said that, we can now move on to the next step along from this.
Exactly. Now, there's something that's coming up in my consciousness now to share with you. I think I might have shared it with you before, it doesn't matter. And that is when you get lost, or you lose your train of thought, or you get repetitive in your communication, many of the great speakers have learned to do this. What I've been saying is, what I've just been telling you is, which leads us to the next point. Where do we go from here? Rather than I lost my train of thought, where do we go from here? So it allows the audience to be taken on a journey of, we're going on this journey together from what we just talked about.
Yes, it's like a little bit of a recap.
A little bit of a recall. And where are we going to go from here? I totally lost my train of thought.
So, any ideas, audience? Any ideas? I freaking don't know.
It becomes more fun to listen to too, because when you ask participatory questions, open-ended questions like that, it engages people in a louder listening, and their listening is more acute. Where are we going to go from here? Well, we have been talking about filler words. We've been replacing yeah, you know, and so with different expressions. And now we're finding expressions and phrases that also allow us to be able to guide the audience or my own taking people on a journey with more interesting, I won't call them filler phrases, but I'll call them bridging phrases, using this delightful, engaging CPO.
CDO.
CDO, your Chief Delightful Officer. Now, the delightful officer at this moment has something to say, because your CDO has been watching this whole session and now has some supportive, wise comments to reinforce what he, she, it has been experiencing. So let's pick up that hand and have it speak from that point of view. I am your CDO, and as your Chief Delightful Officer, go ahead. I've noticed this.
As your Chief Delight Officer, I don't know whether it was me or whether it was you, but what's interesting is that every time I hear, yeah, you know, or so, a little electric current goes through my brain, like my body, like I've been electrocuted. It's like I'm becoming hypersensitive to it. It's like every time I hear it. So that feels optimistic to me.
Great. Now I want you to say these words again. So that feels optimistic to me. Say that.
So that feels optimistic to me.
Right. And now the same sentence with a different word than the word so. That feels optimistic to
Did I
me.
just say so?
Yes,
Did I?
you did.
Oh, I say it. Oh.
I'm just catching you just as part of this interaction so you can have it be a fun ritual rather than something you feel like you have to punish yourself, feel ashamed about, embarrassed about, is something wrong. No, no, no. So I can play a different way of seeing it without it having hold over me. It's great. It's great just to have more choices of ways of saying the same things. That's a lot of what you're saying today. You have such wisdom, such creativity, such warmth of heart, and it's great to see that you've hired this. It's not a new character. It's this, you've shifted the energy from one that has been dull, boring, and monotonous to Chief Delight Officer. How good is that? And how are you going to anchor your memory of tuning in to call upon this CDO when you need it the most? Talk to it for a moment. CDO, here's what I'm going to do to call on you when I forget. I'm going to remember what?
So it's like my sentence.
Okay. Yep. So yep. Yes, you're catching yourself though. That's different. So you give yourself some credit. Before you didn't, you just were totally unconscious. Now the moment you say it, catching yourself. So reward. The Chief Delight Officer is delighted that you're catching yourself.
Well, I'm taking her job away. Thank you for taking on the role of Chief Delight Officer. It's really going to make my speeches phenomenal and exceptional. I need to remind myself of your presence. Consequently,
Very good.
I need an anchor. I need an anchor to call you up. When I open Zoom, I'll call upon your assistance.
Whenever I open Zoom, you zoom on in. My CDO comes in whenever I open up Zoom. You're in my room, and I'm delighted by your presence.
So there's the trigger, Zoom.
Great. And now the Chief Delight Officer, now in acknowledgement, appreciation, and gratitude, thanks you for shifting the job title from filler word to something far more interesting. And now it's going to tell you, here's what I'm going to give you in return for giving me this new job title. Here's how I'm going to reward you. Have it talk to you as though it's an energy and a consciousness that is able to be intelligent and speaks to you, Heather.
I'm so grateful for my new job. It's much more exciting and creative and participative than I used to. I used to have a very boring job because I just kept saying the same thing over and over. It was so dull and despondent, made me very sad and just frankly bored. But now I have a much more exciting existence where I get to choose from a range of different options. I'm constantly creating new alternatives. And I have no idea where it's going to go. The sky's the limit.
If I were to envision as your Chief Delight Officer where this can go, my vision, my imagination takes me to seeing us, give it like a picture of the scene.
The scene that I envisage as far as my job is concerned is my exploring a range of different words and phrases and examples that I can call upon whenever there's a pause, or whenever I could determine a need for my services, I can always step in and rescue you and find the most delicious phraseology that I can find.
And I'm delighted to be so. How wonderful. This is a very transformed communication, communion, connection that you now are emerging. You realize that we're doing a voice dialogue throughout the session, and in that you're reinforcing sides of yourself that have been separate that now are working more in cooperation. It's not only the chief delight officer and the filler words, it's also anything that you've held separate from anything else that's also now able to be more in dynamic, delicious dialogue. This is going to be very interesting how this affects your communication outwardly, inwardly, with your people who you're closest with, as well as people you teach. Fascinating, fascinating to see you willing to step into the unknown where you have a deeper knowing, actually. By willing to go into the unknown, what you really know can come up even more than just repeating things that are familiar.
It feels quite exciting and new. It's like a new beginning almost.
It is. It is exactly that. It is a new beginning. And as you're now more conscious of words that enhance and words that distract, you can take out some of the words that take you out of your power, like the word almost, which, no, you don't have to do almost anymore. It is that. I am that. It's safe for me to be in my power. I don't have to say almost. I don't have to say it's like. It is that. I am that. I am powerful. And you are. And it's just shifting in the joyful discipline of the words you think, say, and the actions you do, noticing now how much more impactful your communication becomes to others as well. People are going to waft from your own ability to show strength, focus, and determination. They're going to be more strong, focused, and determined. So it's more certainty. Cool, I would say. And that's part of my homework for you, not necessarily just to respond to me, but your homework in practicing what we set in motion here today is to have perhaps a file of the word so, a file with the word, and a file with the word, yeah. And just see what myriad of other expressions you can put on that same page. So when you're questioning, you can look at that page as like a cheat sheet and go, oh my goodness, I have so much more to say than just repeating what was safe because it was familiar and under stress. I went back to familiar. There's all of these engaging expressions, participatory questions. Are you following what I'm saying? Good. Even if no one is responding. That was what I was wanting to get to with the guided visualization. That you take people in a certain area or down a certain stream, elevator or light or whatever it is, and say, feel what it's like to be in that room. Feel that in your body. Good. As though you're actually feeling, who knows what you're responding to. But if you can go like that, that's it. You don't know. But that's what's happening is you're connecting with the consciousness of our exploring vistas in our inner landscapes. And so what, who cares? It doesn't matter that you're saying, that's great, that's it, just what you're doing right now. How's she doing now? Where should watch it? Just reinforcing.
It's an energetic connection.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that we're doing in this first part of the session, because I did want to get to this, that in the visualization, you can do something exactly the same rather than, because what I felt you were doing, it was almost as though you were reading a script. You probably were. And it's fine to read a script, yet there are times in the script you can stop and go, Feel how this makes sense to you. Deep breath in. Where do you feel that? Ah, good. They don't need to know that you don't know what they're doing, but it's as though you're with them and they feel more connected to the process.
Yeah, I
Because
like that. And it does feel like you're taking them on a live journey, that you're not just a voice on a machine, but you're actually walking along the path with them, which is really quite magical.
would you like to do that today? Or would you want to do that in the next session, the guided visualization one? Because I'm happy to take you down that journey as well. It's probably 15, 20 minutes of content, so it may be a bit longer than you may have. But I would love to do that when maybe for the next.
Yeah, sure. Let me call it up. I mean, we don't have to do the whole of it, do we?
No, let's get started. Because now that we're in this role, this track, this momentum, let's take advantage of it with something that you do anyway.
Mm. I just can't seem to find it. Hold on.
And if it's
Oh yeah,
maybe
there it is. Yeah, I've got it.
okay, great. Is it
Hold on.
something you can read? Is it visible enough that you can read it? Can you make it bigger typeface? Make it easier to see?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not coming up. Why isn't it coming up? I can see it. Let me just see if it's in there.
It's the version that I was
6.
with.
Yeah, I can see it. I just have to do it on. I've got it. I've got it. I can just do it like this.
Okay, so it's written. Yeah.
Yeah.
So take us through it slowly and watch now from what you've been learning so far today, how much more you can put in ad libs between the lines, ask participatory questions. Watch what happens. This is good practice.
Okay. Is that a filler word?
At different points.
That was a filler word. Okay. That's another one I have to add to my list.
Yep. Beautiful.
Find a comfortable and quiet space to relax, allowing yourself to let go of any distractions.
And so even there's another way of saying that allows a person to go deeper. What you were saying is fine. There's nothing wrong with the words. Yet it's also, you say it in such a way, you can hear your cadence of words. It's very slow and relaxing. It puts us in the trance state. If that's your purpose, that's fine. Yet now let's do one sentence at a time. And I have a feeling when we add a little bit more of dialogue and engagement, people are going to dive deeper. So you say one sentence, and I'm going to add an expression that would be as though you're saying that next expression before the next one. Just one sentence at a time, and I'll add something in between each one. Watch what happens.
From the top.
We go like 5 or 6 sentences.
From the top, yeah.
Yeah.
Find a comfortable and quiet space to relax.
Yes, that's good.
Allowing yourself to let go of any distractions.
Beautiful.
Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhaling slowly and deeply, and exhaling fully, releasing any tension or stress from your body.
Feeling the air move all the way in. That's it. And then as you relax, glass of water being poured out, she's feeling the air as liquid falling even deeper. That's, yes, just like that. You see what I'm doing? So I'm it's as though I'm watching every movement, I'm guiding every movement, I'm giving reference to not just the process, because you're taking people on the process. I'm talking about physical sensations. Feel the air. Let it go longer. Feel how far you go. So you're adding multi-sensory cues that helps people be in the body and come out of their head. the way you were communicating with it, it keeps people a little bit more in the head because all the information is information. Letting go of things you no longer need. Okay, that would be easy if you say something like letting go of air that's no longer needed. Good, longer exhale. What are you letting go of this time? So you connect the physical with the mental in your expressions. Okay? So it'll give you the chance to do that. Same thing, not my words, but that process will bring people more into the body, so we have a more of a visceral embodiment of your wonderful intentions from the brain, from the mental, through the emotional, into the physical, and beyond. Okay, go ahead.
Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhaling slowly and deeply, feeling the air rushing into the deepness of your lungs, pulling the beautiful, luscious air deep into your body, holding it, that's right, and then allowing it to escape from your lips and deflating like a paper bag, folding right in on itself.
See what you're doing now. You're adding all the different senses: sight, sound, volume, feeling. You can add smell, taste. Might as well include as many of the senses as possible, because as you multi-sensorize your mental expressions, people can embody what you want them to embody. So I can let go of what I've been holding on to because I'm able to connect with it here. I feel what you're saying. I don't just hear the words. That's what my experience was when I heard the meditation last week. At this time with you today, because I knew that this would take you on a deeper dive, so we can go on a deeper dive and we'll have more of a memorable experience because we're able to have anchors as physical clues that are sensation based, along with the wonderful mental statements that are matched. Keep going. This is good practice.
When the air comes into your lungs, hear the whooshing of the oxygen as it pours deeply into your lungs, deeply into the base of your expansive lungs, that flows all the way to the base of your back, deep in your body, with the billions of cells all hungrily taking in the delectable air that it so desperately needs. Is that good?
One thing I would be careful about when you're speaking is when you're speaking as you are, and it's beautiful to hear you, feel you becoming eloquent about this. The one thing to be aware of with the breath is that we can't keep breathing in forever. So, because you started to get so eloquent about you want to like come back to those phrases, but maybe allow a little bit more time for, and now as the exhalation, there we go, naturally have, so you want to tune it to the rhythm of the breath.
Yes, I've got to be very conscious of the rhythms.
The inhale is only maybe 4 or 5 seconds. That's good. Feel it filling up your lungs like balloons rising to the sky. Beautiful. Excellent. And as you exhale, there you go. Feel the air cascading out. Sigh of relief. That's good. Connecting with what you're releasing at this time. Beautiful. And even more. So you're tuning it in to the timing of
that's lovely, because that feels actually like the waves of on the beach. It's like it's coming in and it goes out, and it comes. So there's a real rhythm to it,
And
which is
it's more
quite
present.
um mesmerizing as
It is.
well.
It's put people in a trance state, and also it's a bit more connected to the heartbeat rhythm. Boom, boom, down, down. So the rhythms are matching the statements in the length of the statements. That's not longer than the exhalation or the inhalation. They're about the same length. 5, 6, 7, or 10 words enough. And then and good, and now a longer exhalation, practicing letting go. Beautiful. Following through further, longer, deeper than you once allowed and knew. I often say that in my body therapy sessions. So,
What did you say that again? I didn't hear what you said.
when I speak and I do my body therapy sessions where I'm guiding people even online more these days, I will say expressions like this. Breathing in, feeling the air coming, rising in. It's the sunrise, lift as the morning sky. Good. And as you exhale, picturing waters falling down the spine. Sigh of relief. Good. Sounds of deep. Breathing in full, clear, strong. That's it. Feel how much you can fully receive. Fresh inspiration. Beautiful. And breathing out far, deep, long. That's it. Letting go even further than before. Breathing in, fuller, clearer, stronger. Breathing out, longer, further, deeper. Fullest, clearest, strongest. Breathing in. That's it. And longest, furthest, deepest. Letting go and following through. Further, longer, deeper than you once allowed and knew. And then it becomes exquisite. It becomes way more than me words. It becomes a cascade of a journey through rhythms that people can melt into, because the rhythm itself has a beauty to it. And the fact that it matches the symbolism and the metaphors adds another level of meaning, so people can hear you, feel you, and their embodiment is intensified, is magnified. What makes sense of what I'm saying to you in that this is kind of a nuance I believe this last explanation. Adding rhythm and rhyme to the words and in small chunks that match the timing of the emotion.
So it's a multi-sensory, visceral experience. It's not just a set of instructions. It's more getting inside their bodies and working their bodies with them.
Now you're getting it. Now you're totally getting it. Exactly. When teachers take me on a set of instructions that's mental, I can follow it. I can hear the words, but I don't connect with it. And yet when they go, that's it, filling the top of your lungs, that's it. Beautiful. That's it. Feel the warmth in the heart, the chest lifting, like the sunrise lifting in the morning sky. And as you exhale, sigh of relief. Ease and let go. Safe to let go. Further, longer, deeper than you once allowed and knew. More room for you to let go. More room to follow. That's sort of a song sometimes. But the more multi-sensory, even in a subject that's about money or something that is maybe a sounding dry, you bring life to it. You bring energy to it. You bring pleasantry to it. People are moved to feel the wisdom of your words.
Well, everything has a soul, and if everything comes from the heart, then that makes a life a better experience.
Exactly. And the multi-sensorizing of it is a practice, and the more you practice, something that's physical, something that is audible, something that is feelable, something that is tasteable, something that is smellable, then if someone is more of a visual or an audio or kinesthetic or one of the other olfactory or other forms of learning or expressing, then they'll get the information through the channels that they need to hear without you having to figure it out, because you're reaching everyone through having this multiple choice.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I think my son is much more of an experiential learner, like he learns by doing.
I
So
learn by engaging. And I learned, like, that's why I'm constantly saying, when I'm doing classes with someone, that when you engage, there's that beautiful like Chinese statement, that Chinese proverb. You heard this one? It's tell me, I'll forget. Ask me, I might remember. Involve me, and I'll understand.
yeah, I mean, you know, and I hear you, and I try to, because I'm very conscious that you've got a very different learning style, so I've tried to adapt it, and I had all these props and things one lesson, and then I also had, I just threw everything at it, and I had some you know, those mind maps which you absolutely hated. You know, the word cloud things. It was really funny because you weren't even there, and there was all these like obscenities coming through, and I was like, have we been hacked? And then it turned out that you had been on it before you got on, and would like kept sending more and more words to it. And I was like, okay, there's some mixed feelings here. Some people are feeling positive, some are negative, and the others were like, no, we're really positive. It was like, well, where are these words coming from?
Where were they coming from?
They were your words. You were getting really frustrated with the software. It kept, you kept saying, it kept asking you, but it was just passive. But you kept saying it was asking you for more and more words, and so you're getting more and more.
I remember I was doing the exercise, and the more I did the exercise, the more it asked me to repeat the exercise. It didn't allow me to end the exercise. It just gave me more opportunities to repeat what I just done 5 times before. It was driving me nuts.
I'm like, what are all these really crazy words that are coming through? I was like, okay, we won't be doing that again. Okay, we'll try something else next time.
So tell me, as we close up here today, tell me what your biggest learnings are and what you're taking away and what you've appreciated the most, not necessarily in that order.
The key thing, I guess, is to become even more present. The more present I am, the more I can be more deliberate with my words and be in the moment and be able to pick up when I'm about to utter a let's say a non-appropriate word.
You used to call them filler words, and now you've given a new job title to this to review what we did at the beginning. I think that's important to share. Yeah, you turned what into what? A new job title and job description, from what to what?
From a filler word person to a chief delight officer. So we're swelling with pride from that new job title, and we are going to, especially at the beginning, be very conscious of every word that we say, which is probably going to be a bit exhausting, but
No, change that. No. We don't want to plant. We do not want to plant that seed. No. Be energizing. You know, something that has a be enriching and building energy. Let's turn that to go back 3 sentences. I've got to make a phone call after this. My car's in the shop, and they were just calling me to let me know it's ready. They're closing in 10 minutes. So,
right.
that's just
Okay.
so I'm
So I talk about mindful spending. So this is mindful speaking.
There we go. And my mindful speaking be an empowering process as I've turned my habit of repeating words like, so, yeah, to more elegant expressions that reach people through all the different senses, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling.
And being in the
My
heart.
Chief Light Officer to take over.
Being in the heart, and so connecting more deeply and emotionally and multisensorily.
And you are. And it's lovely to see you, hear you, feel you doing that with delight.
Now let's see if I can carry it forward, because this is a kind of a bit of a hothouse. So I need to now be able to practice it in real life to make sure it gets embedded.
And we shift those words from I have to, I need to I am in the process of, I am in the practice of, and I'm willing for this to be easy and fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Beautiful. Well, I'll send you this recording. Let me know when you download the link and I'll take it off my server. Beautiful session today. Do you want to make a time for a next session, or we do that sometime in the next few days once you get a sense of your schedule?
We could do. I'm going to England on Friday.
So after you come back.
Okay.